Many people believe Doflamingo hype is done in this story, but I would argue otherwise from the many Imu parallels. From the Gorsei bowing down to their king, to his top commanders doing the exact same thing when he was a kid, to Imu in Aokiji's glasses, which people still think is fake. No, go to that chapter, it's real. Yes, I know it's hard to believe, but when he was staring at Doflamingo, he saw Imu. Then there's the assassins being sent down to kill him, and Magellan himself protecting him. I could even bring up Buggy losing in the East Blue Saga and becoming a Yonko, or Crocodile losing in Alabasta and bouncing back in Marineford, and post-time skip rocking a nearly 2 billion berry bounty. This is a man who clashed with Doflamingo during the War of Best, which logically doesn't make sense if we power scale off of wins and losses, as East Blue Luffy beat Crocodile and a Gear Force Luffy barely beat Doflamingo. But of course, context matters, especially when power scaling One Piece, which I think is the hardest series to power scale. Lastly, just look at the previous arc of Egghead Island that had Lucci come back with Haki and an awakened Zoan Delfood as he fought Gear 5 and King of Hell Zoro. And still, yeah, he took a lot of damage but never got knocked out by either one of them. They did beat his ass for sure. All in all, there's hope for Doflamingo to get buffs, so let's do a deep dive on this monster's return to the new world and his power in the final saga. Yes, we're gonna power scale Doflamingo from after Dressrosa and what I believe is gonna happen when he does return. And if you're enjoying these videos, of course, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 100k subscribers. Be one of the people that helped me get to 100k subscribers. It's much appreciated. And turn on notifications because I got some big projects coming on the way. So the first thing I want to talk about when it pertains to Doflamingo is his underlings. A lot of people underrate how powerful Doflamingo's underlings were, from characters like Lao G to Diamante, which were really good characters and they weren't even his top tier commanders, to of course Diamante in the Coliseum, to Treble. Treble was kind of like the guy who was guiding Doflamingo, and it took Law defeating Treble. Yeah, I know Law wasn't taking it too serious, but still it took Law defeating Treble. So Treble is a pretty good top commander when it comes to strength. But the two top commanders that really make us look at Doflamingo like monsters are the Punk Hazard antagonist Virgo, who went full body armor haki, and Law had to slice him up and try way harder against Virgo than he did against, of course, Treble. And Virgo did pretty well against Smoker and Sanji in that arc. If you saw Sanji's leg kind of cracked against Virgo. Yes, Sanji was kind of in an explosion because Nami was in his body, but still, Virgo's haki was legit. Even Doflamingo was confident that Virgo was going to defeat Law, showing how much respect he has for one of his top commanders. Then there's Pika. What makes Pika so strong is not only that he was able to pull out full body armor haki against Zoro, and Zoro had to bring out his armor haki the first time Zoro actually coated his sword in armor haki to defeat the character known as Pika. That's not the case. It's his Delfood. Pika's Delfood's destructive capability was insane. His hand was said to be the size of a town, and Zoro sliced that guy up. Of course, Orlumbus helped as well, but Zoro sliced this guy's huge, gigantic body with his Delfood ability to get to his main source of body, that which was full armor haki. So Pika and Virgo really make you think, if those guys are that strong, how strong is their captain Doflamingo? Now, I want to talk about Doflamingo's interactions with two top tiers. The first one is Aokiji. After Punk Hazard, Doflamingo was about to kill Smoker, which is really insane because Smoker is pretty strong. So Doflamingo low diffing Smoker shows that he's a monster. But then Aokiji comes and freezes Doflamingo, and Doflamingo is one of those few characters that gets out of the Aokiji's ice, just like Whitebeard did. If you guys don't remember, Cracker got that same ice treatment, but a little bit different because Cracker got it out face front. He got face front from Aokiji and still wasn't able to get through that ice, while Doflamingo got it from behind and he was able to get out of the ice. And he was thinking about fighting Aokiji. He knows probably this is like a very uphill battle because Aokiji is stronger than Doflamingo, but he's thought about it and then he walked away and then questioned Aokiji in his allegiance. All I want to say is this right here proved to me, because even his underling said if he got frozen to the bone, he was game finished, he was over. Shows that Doflamingo is not your regular top Yonko commander level character. Then we have to look at, of course, Fujitora. Doflamingo was planning to kill Fujitora at the end of Dressrosa. He clashed with him in the beginning of the arc, but he said that he was planning to his underling. He said he was planning to kill an Admiral Fujitora. That guy must have incredible confidence in his power and abilities, and his interactions with Fujitora and Aokiji, even though I think he's weaker than both, really proved to me Doflamingo is not a weak lane. Yo, this guy's legit in power, like and his confidence is insane. Then there's Doflamingo having all three types of haki. Like, you have to understand this. Doflamingo having observation haki is like, okay, that's cool. Like, you have observation haki, but it's post time skip. You should have the basic observation haki. Though I will say that the Straw Hat Pirates, when he first got into the time skip, the three that had haki was Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, the monster trio. So having any sort of basic haki is pretty respectable. But still, he had observation haki. He had the basic armor haki, which was pretty cool. Now, his armor haki was legit because we know he had stronger armor haki over Virgo and Pika, not just because he's the captain, but because when Law tried to slice up Doflamingo, Doflamingo grabbed grabbed his hand with haki coated on it, and he was bleeding. His hand was bleeding, showing that he bypassed Law's Delph root because his haki was so strong. Law confirmed this when he was fighting Big Mom and Kaido. If you have a great deal amount of haki, his Delph root doesn't really work in the same way if you don't have a great deal amount of haki. And Law against Blackbeard used a great deal amount of haki to get through Doc Q's ability. So Doflamingo's haki is legit, honestly, but the fact that he has Conqueror's haki, no, he doesn't have Conqueror's haki coding, but if because he has Conqueror's haki, he has the potential to be one of the strongest characters in the series, because Conqueror's haki coding is what makes you the strongest character in the series. Kaido said it best, haki transcends all, and Kaido said it best, only a handful of characters can use Conqueror's haki coding. Honestly, Yamato and Zoro having Conqueror's haki coding puts them on an elite level just based off that move, because it's not their abilities. Yes, Zoro and Yamato are very strong characters. Yamato has a mythical Zoan, Zoro is a very strong swordsman, but that Conqueror's haki coding is what really takes him to the next level. So Doflamingo having the ability and potential to have Conqueror's haki coding, that even Crocodile doesn't even have, shows that he's a monster in my opinion. And then I talked about a little bit previously, but Doflamingo versus Law. Why do people don't want to talk about this fight? Doflamingo was whooping Law's ass throughout Dressrosa. We've seen it time and time again. He was bullying Law, if anything, and Law tried his best, guys. Law got his arm cut off. If Law's arm wasn't there still and he wasn't able to do surgery because his Delph root, it was game over. Law would have been like another useless kid. So think about this, who took off useless kid arm? Ben Beckman. Well, Doflamingo would have been the guy that took off Law's arm. So you got to understand, that's a lot of high praise for Doflamingo versus Law. Of course, Law did a Gamma Knife, one of his strongest moves that he did on Kaido too as well, and Doflamingo was restitching his body and his organs. That's how strong Doflamingo was, and this is before he fought Luffy, so he was kind of nerfed fighting a Gear 4 Luffy. Doflamingo's durability doesn't get talked about, yo. It's insane, guys. It's probably gonna get stronger after Impel down. You know, Impel down always gives you a durability boost. Now, I do want to say this, the Law fight makes me look at it a little bit better because he was whooping Law's ass, and Law needed Luffy to save him. And think about this, what has Law done after? He destroyed Bejo Hawkins. Think about that, guys. He did amazing on the rooftop against the Yonko. That was pretty cool. And he teamed with Useless Kid to take on Big Mom. And I'm gonna be honest with you, yo, they beat Big Mom. This was the help of the little explosions, but their awakening really helped beat Big Mom. Then, of course, there's also the fact that Law did pretty well against Blackbeard after that as well. So I'm telling you guys right now, destroying Law, we saw what Law did to Smoker. He destroyed Smoker. Doflamingo destroying Law shows that he is someone you don't want to play with, yo. He is legit. Don't let that Luffy loss take you to another level, guys. Doflamingo is legit. And then we look at Doflamingo versus Base Luffy. Base Luffy did some cool stuff like Red Hawk, and he was doing pretty cool stuff, obviously, with his haki. Of course, Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd. But let's be honest here, guys. Base Luffy couldn't do anything to Doflamingo because when Luffy was doing his strongest Gear 3rd attacks, he wasn't fast enough. When he was doing his fastest Gear 2nd attacks, it wasn't strong enough. There's a reason why Luffy had to go to the next level, is because Doflamingo was just that strong, guys. Think about that, guys. Doflamingo was that strong where his clone was causing problems, guys. He had his own clone causing problems. All I'm trying to say is this. The way Doflamingo had control of the birdcage and the entire island is what he was doing to Luffy, yo. He was casually doing well against Luffy, who's coming off a time skip training with Rayleigh. Like, Base Luffy is not a scrub, yo. When he's coming out, you saw what he did to Holy Jones. You saw what he did to, of course, Caesar the Clown. Like, this is not a joke when Luffy's getting bodied by Doflamingo like this, yo. It shows how strong Doflamingo is. Now, of course, people are going to come in the comments saying, what about Gear 4th? Gear 4th was literally molly-whopping Doflamingo. Yes, you're right. Gear 4th was molly-whopping Doflamingo, but he was still standing after all those attacks. Yes, the Rhino Schneider, the Kong Gun, it didn't matter, yo. Luffy, Leo Bazooka, which I thought was going to be the end-all when they look at Kamehameha. No, Doflamingo was still standing, and Luffy's Gear 4th ran out, and he had no haki for 10 minutes. Think about that, guys. That is insane. And I'm telling you guys right now, if it wasn't for King Kong Gun, one of the strongest moves to this date, yeah, after Gear 5th, after Snake Man, I don't care. To this date, King Kong Gun is one of Luffy's strongest attacks I've ever seen. What it did, like, pretty much Luffy had to destroy a whole city to defeat Doflamingo. Now, of course, Luffy had high ground as well against Doflamingo when he did that King Kong Gun. So he did have the advantage, shout out to Star Wars. But still, I want to say this, guys. People have to understand, Doflamingo did relatively well against Gear 4th. And honestly, he technically beat Gear 4th. He took all the damage, and then he would have killed Gear 4th. Because Luffy, of course, he had no haki for 10 minutes. But the guys, Guts, and all those guys helped out. You guys remember Dressrosa. Now, let me talk about the awakening. When Luffy runs out of haki for 10 minutes, Doflamingo brings out awakening, and Doflamingo awakened his Devil Fruit. That's a rare thing we've seen. Like, we, of course, seen Law and Kid, and of course, Rob Bellucci and Kaku, and of course, Katakuri, probably one of these stronger awakenings, and Luffy, of course, as well. But still, Doflamingo was the first to ever show it. Not like those failed awakened zones in the Jailed Beasts and all that. No, Doflamingo was the first. Oda chose Doflamingo for a reason. He took his Devil Fruit to the next level. We didn't even see King, Queen, or Jack awaken their Devil Fruits. So, tells you right now, Doflamingo is one of them ones, guys. The fact that he took his Devil Fruit to the next level, he probably has more stuff he can bring after he escapes Impel down. So, all I'm saying is, you can hate a Doflamingo as you want, but Oda gave him these incredible powers for a reason. Now, people like to argue that Cracker is stronger than Doflamingo, which I already debunked because of the Aokiji interaction, but they say it's because, oh, Cracker cut Gear 4th Luffy while Doflamingo really didn't do that much damage to Gear 4th Luffy. Well, I'll tell you guys right now. First of all, yeah, Cracker cut Gear 4th Luffy. His arm haki was pretty strong. Luffy did comment on this. Yes, I will give him that. But you have to understand, Cracker's durability is not even close to Luffy. You saw what Luffy did with Tank Man against Cracker. Like, he destroyed Cracker in one hit. While Doflamingo, it took multiple Gear 4th hits to destroy. Secondly, Doflamingo's awakened his Devil Fruit. Yes, Cracker has pretty good usage with the Biscuit Soldiers, but no, Doflamingo awakened his Devil Fruit. So yeah, his armor haki could be stronger, but that doesn't mean that Cracker is stronger than Doflamingo, and we've seen it against Aokiji. And Doflamingo has Conqueror's haki and Cracker doesn't, so he has potential to go to the next level. So yeah, guys, come on. Cracker is not stronger than Doflamingo. I feel his argument gets worse and worse as the series goes on. And I do want to say this, I was one of those few people who early on jumped on the Cracker over Doflamingo bandwagon. But now I've changed after I've seen the series. You gotta admit your L's, guys, and I admitted mine. So yeah, Doflamingo's strong, way stronger than Cracker, guys. He's gonna leave Impel down. He's gonna be stronger. He's gonna have those crazy buffs. And honestly, I can't wait. Honestly, I think Luffy Doflamingo was foreshadowing to the end of One Piece when it comes to there's Joy Boy and Imu during the Void Century. There's the first Nika, and of course the Forest or Land God, whatever they called original Imu Duff, whatever they called it in the series. And honestly, the first world, second world, third world, this is all connected to Doflamingo. Doflamingo will always be connected because he's a celestial dragon. And of course, look at that green forestry around Imu. We know he has that forest or land Devil Fruit, mythical Devil Fruit. The hype is real for Doflamingo because he's kind of the foundation to what is going to end the series. And Oda doing this means Oda has a love for Doflamingo. In my personal opinion, to this day, Doflamingo is still the greatest arc villain in One Piece. Kaido, I thought he was going to surpass Doflamingo, but no. Katakuri, no. They are great villains. They're great antagonists. Because I can't really call Katakuri a villain. He's kind of an antagonist. But still, they did not surpass Doflamingo to me personally. The way what Doflamingo was doing in Dressrosa, if Kaido was doing that in Wano, Kaido was he's the strongest creature alive. So if he had that Doflamingo villainous personality and everything, like Kaido was very like brutality and like very dominant, but Doflamingo was sick in the head, yo. He had no morals. Kaido had morals. We saw that against Kuzuki Oden, yo. He still knows, like, okay, I had to kill that lady because she interrupted a very manly fight. Kaido loves the fight. Doflamingo's more just sick in the head, yo. He's just an intellectual guy when it comes to that level. He's kind of like the Joker in a sense. So yeah, Doflamingo, in my opinion, is way stronger than people think, and I thought I should make a video about it. People might get mad at me, oh, I'm glazing Doflamingo. No, I have to give respect to respect is due, guys. Dressrosa has been a long time, but no, what he's done is still stands, and his reputation is still stands till the end of One Piece, and I can't wait till he comes out. And of course, I think Imu might even try to kill Doflamingo. That's how powerful he is, guys. Like the national treasure, the secrets he knows. Honestly, he needs to be taken out, and I think a strong character like Imu would just make Doflamingo stocks go even more up. So that's my thoughts on Doflamingo and how I look at him as a character.